Hey, what's up, y'all? It's D about to react to this video by Honest. It's titled Why Doja Cat's Album Flopped. It was a flop. People have been talking about how this album flopped so bad. He gonna give us the specifics because I'm confused how it supposedly flopped, because I do know that it sold a decent amount. So, well, I know people are saying in comparison to her older albums, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a success, but maybe it did flop. I don't know. Let's hear what he got to say. Let's watch.
In 2025, Doja Cat returned to music after her ultra-divisive album and era, Scarlet, an album that Doja created to center her rap sensibilities and love for hip-hop. She denounced her previous albums Hot Pink and Planet Her as cash grabs and made fun of the audience that enjoyed them. Even though the lead single from the album, Scarlet, Paint the Town Red, sounded like it could have fit into the world of any of her previous albums.
Also listen to that.
Ultimately, Scarlet was not a grand departure for Doja Cat, and not nearly as audacious or edgy as the actions that preceded the album. It's just an album that featured more rapping and more pointed hip-hop soundscapes from her. The visuals and antics were far more subversive than the music itself, while the lyrics just kind of hinged on the controversy that she created to add some validity to that album. I think what made Doja Cat so exciting is that she can slip into so many different roles and pull it off quite well, as if she's not even trying. It seems to come to her effortlessly, which is not an ability that everyone has. She's a capable rapper, and her track record proves that she can pull off very good focused moments, and she absorbs flows effortlessly. Her lyricism is not always her strong suit, especially when it comes to rapping, but her personality can sell it, and there is a genuine talent to that.
I think she's pretty
solid. Her role
solid.
as a pop star seems to come as easy to her as a snap of a finger.
Obviously, she's not the best of the best, an amazing lyricist, A+. I wouldn't say all that, but she's significantly better than most of the rap girls. So I've never heard anybody have that take about Doja and rap. But I go to Honest for pop related stuff. When it comes to rap, though, sir, that's a very bad take in my opinion.
Her vocals, her catchy.
But you know, whatever. Everybody got their own opinion. Sure, maybe that's just his opinion. That's what he thinks. But I would wonder who is he putting above her, because it's not that many, so therefore she's more so at the top.
Her voice can fit into many different styles, as we have heard. There is merit in being a rapper, there's merit in being a pop star, and I think in Doja's case, the smaller parts make up the greater good, and the type of animated presence she leads with makes her stand out a lot. So at least on paper, it should be no surprise that Doja Cat made another pop album with V. But, given the context in which the album arrives in, it was unexpected. And even more so, the silence that followed it in comparison to her previous releases was quite loud. There's a stark difference from her previous releases, but by my estimation, it is a justified lukewarm reception. We have to talk about the controversies that preceded this album, and the previous one, because they all kind of tie together. I think the biggest being the denouncement of Hot Pink and Planet Her as cash grabs, and calling them mediocre pop. Some people tried to paint her as a parasocial martyr for these comments, and her controversies in general, and I don't really think that's the case. Doja is a public figure that constantly sticks her foot in her mouth and then backtracks. Not one controversial thing she's done has really felt like I'm challenging parasocial relationships. It just felt like I want to be controversial and set expectations on what's to come. I saw the cash grab statement as her pushing back on her pop fan base and trying to set the tone for something that's less glossy.
Right back to it.
There's nothing wrong with an artist growing out of their work, trying something new, and not connecting to older work like they previously did. It's only normal. Even as listeners, we grow out of music. But I think it is a fault and quite shitty to make fun of your audience for enjoying those albums and supporting your career. That is where the disrespect lies within that statement. It also doesn't help that you denounce your career-defining work as mediocre pop to go in what is supposed to be an edgier direction and then come back with an album that is mediocre pop. Seems like the most tame effort you've ever put out. By her own standards, V feels like a cash grab. It is the direct antithesis of Scarlet. And it feels like a reactionary album. An album that is made to soften the blow and course correct. It just felt like the pendulum swung way too hard on both sides. V has its fans, with some people even calling it her greatest album yet. But by every metric, it is her least popular release since she broke stardom, with Doja herself even joking about the lack of commercial success. Commercial success is obviously not a definitive answer to if music is good or not, but it is a useful tool of measurement when talking about a big major label pop artist. Not only has V proven to be a commercial slump, it is also just not very memorable. Nothing on this album sounds bad, it is cohesive, and we even have some heavy hitters like Jack Antonoff taking over production duties. But it lacks a lot of personality.
People don't like him.
And it almost feels like Doja is
Patreon.
playing the persona of an 80s diva, performing it. It feels more performed than a lot of her previous work. There are some standout songs on the album, like the lead single Jealous Type. It's heavy on the whimsical 80s R&B wave. Think Janet Jackson, Jodie Watley, Paula Abdul. I love that she embraced the R&B side of 80s music and the New Jack Swing movement. It's such a hugely influential era that doesn't get its just due. In this song, Doja Cat talks about being a jealous lover, and her voice is so slinky, and the background vocals are so feline-like and cartoonish in the best way possible. She has about a 15-second rap verse in the song, which I guess acts as the bridge, but really her singing takes center stage. She hits what's probably the highest note she's hit on any single she's ever released during the climax of the song. And during that moment, it's obvious more than ever, Doja Cat is a pop star, and a convincing one. I will say for the most part of this song, Doja plays second fiddle to the instrumental. It's loud and colorful, and at times it even drowns out her gentle feline vocals. Simultaneously, the song as a whole is confusingly risk-averse coming off of the Scarlet era. Jealous Type isn't reinventing the wheel, it's just a breezy, catchy 80s pastiche song. Ah Man is eccentric and fun and feels like classic Doja brought to the 80s. The album closer Comeback sounds like a Lion King influenced 80s soundtrack song. It's probably the most cinematic song on the record. But overall, the album acts as pleasant background music. The arc of Doja Cat is very confusing and inconsistent. She seems so adamant on not conforming to pop and going in a darker direction. Just to return with one of her brightest and most uncompromising pop tunes yet. On paper, it's not all that unique to go from a dark and intense album to something a little lighter. Think Janet Jackson from The Velvet Rope to All For You, or Rihanna from Rated R to Loud. But these transformations came at the hands of personal changes, and not with disdain for the type of music they make like Doja Cat. I think the cash grab controversy does cast a bit of a shadow on some of her work, and how the audience is supposed to receive it. There's been so much disdain expressed for this kind of music by Doja, and it's not like this song is worlds away from Say So or Kiss Me More, or really a number of her songs. Still, the fundamental reality of Doja's career is that Doja's good at making pop music, or in her case, cash grab music, which is why the timidness of V feels reactionary to the controversies of Scarlet. 80s influenced music will never leave pop. Every year there's some synth banger hit that in some form takes inspiration from the 80s. However, I also think something can be said about the 80s prestige that this album and its aesthetics are engulfed in, because pop music is currently in a more 2000s-driven nostalgia era, whereas at the start of the 2020s, pop music was in a more 80s referential mode. And I think V is also a little late to that trend. Ultimately, these two albums serve as a reconstruction period for Doja, and there's zero indication of what she will do next. Doja has had public contentions with her fame, so maybe a lower profile is actually something that she will embrace. Some people might argue it's an underrated masterpiece, done wrong by pop listeners, because that's always an argument when a pop album slips under the radar. I happen to think it is the least interesting work of her career. And when you spend so much time trolling your audience and at times leading with hostility, eventually you will see the effects of that in one way or another.
I agree. I don't know what the fuck she doing. And I mean, I already gave my thoughts about her album on my Patreon and, you know, my reaction to every song and whatnot. But yeah, overall, I mean, spoiler alert, I didn't like it. And yeah, I just don't understand where she's going creatively. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I think she should take some time off and, you know, actually figure out the type of music that she wants to make and, you know, put that out, because it doesn't seem like this is what she wants to do. It didn't feel like her soul was in this, you know? I feel like she just was like, here, this is what y'all want. This is going to get me back popping again. That's what it gave. But, you know, a lot of people loved it, so good for y'all. But, yeah, I guess this is why it flopped. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye!